Welcome to Flashback, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. We begin on Monday, where the federal government announced it will begin the evacuation of citizens from Ukraine and its environs starting Wednesday. But the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, isn't happy that the rescue mission came a bit late.
Many Nigerians, including students, have gone through traumatic experiences in the last few days when Russia launched missiles in Ukraine.
Yesterday night, our temperature was so low. We were trying to go to
The House, at its sitting last Thursday, resolved to send a two-man delegation to Ukraine to assist in the evacuation of the stranded Nigerians. But the shutdown of Ukraine's airspace and the invasion by Russia put paid to that mission. This meeting is at the instance of Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila for the Parliament to better understand government's plans towards the citizens' plight in Ukraine.
Seen terrible videos of how our students are suffering abroad, our citizens, and I believe the steps you're taking and whatever we need to do to augment or to assist will also help.
It is an opportunity for the minister to relate the many efforts of government at giving succor to the stranded Nigerians.
I was in touch with the ambassador. The first thing was to get in touch with all the Nigerians there, set up a hotline with the embassy at the center, and start directing. We were in touch with the Ukrainian authorities, and our hope was that we could go in immediately.
The minister says government already sealed arrangements with Air Peace Airline to bring back willing Nigerians from Wednesday.
Really doing everything possible to ensure that come Wednesday, we start deploying planes to go and get them back. So this is it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
The Speaker is not too impressed with the perceived delay in government's action and calls for more proactiveness in the future.
We need to have a setup by law or by ingrained in the foreign affairs policy, and that will have to do with you if we can work together, where we're in a state of readiness at any point in time where we need to evacuate our citizens, because it's happened one time too many.
The meeting rose with a commitment of collaboration between the federal government and the House of Representatives that will ensure willing stranded Nigerians are brought back home in one piece.
Justice Zainab Abubakar on 22nd February.
Well, also on Monday, this is coming after a federal high court in Abuja refused to grant suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari's bail application. Justice Iang Ekwo, in ruling, held that the application had been overtaken by events following an order by another court granting the NDLEA's prayers to detain him for another 14 days to enable it conclude its investigations.
Justice Zainab Abubakar on 22nd February had granted the application of the NDLEA to detain Mr. Kyari and other suspects linked to the alleged drug trafficking for 14 days. Mr. Kyari, through his lawyer on 21st February, approached the court with an ex parte motion and originating summons, seeking for bail and urging the court to enforce his fundamental rights. The court had declined granting any prayers in the motion, asking Mr. Kyari to put the agency on notice due to their amendments in the motion. At the resumed proceedings, Justice Iang Ekwo, in a ruling, held that the application for bail had been overtaken by events following an order of a sister court granting the agency prayers to detain Mr. Kyari for another 14 days to enable it to conclude its investigation. Justice Ekwo noted that the sister court which gave the order in favor of the NDLEA on 22nd February was a court of coordinate jurisdiction. The court is inclined to hear Mr. Kyari's fundamental right enforcement suit with the urgency it deserves after the expiration of the 14-day court order. The matter was adjourned till 15th March.
A total of 47 bills got the Senate's approval. Among the approved amended bills is the power to summon Mr. President.
Apologies for that. Well, meanwhile, on Tuesday, the National Assembly granted financial and administrative autonomy to all local governments across the country. This happened after lawmakers voted electronically on 68 constitution amendment bills during the day plenary. And both chambers of the National Assembly voted in favor of local government administrative autonomy as a tier of government and guarantees their democratic existence and tenure.
A total of 47 bills got the Senate's approval. Among the approved amended bills is the power to summon Mr. President or governors in accordance with Section 67 and Section 108. The bill, if assented to, will give the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly powers to summon the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or governors of their state to answer questions on issues of national security or any matters whatsoever deemed fit by the legislative bodies.
Result, yes 77, no 13, abstain 1, total 91. The bill is passed.
But another amendment relating to the enforcement of legislative summons in sections 89 and 129 now seeks to make failure, refusal, or neglect of legislative summons as an offense punishable in accordance with an act of the National Assembly and strikes out payment of costs and fines. Another significant amendment passed by the Senate is the bill which amends Section 7, 65, 106, 131, 177, and 228 of the 1999 Constitution, which would allow an independent candidate contest for an elective position without belonging to any political party. The amendment of Sections 222 and 223, if granted presidential assent, would impose restrictions on the formation of political parties to ensure national orientation, viability, and sustainability. Although the bill to allow for judicial reforms was approved by the House of Reps, senators claim to have mistakenly rejected the bill. An attempt to right their wrongs was considered too late by the Senate. Now the lawmakers are hoping to make amends during the harmonization process with both chambers.
This exercise is a continuous exercise. If we are not able to get it today, having concluded this exercise so far, we should make effort to get it tomorrow.
A bad day it was for women as all 4 bills that concern the female gender were shut down at the 2 chambers. Not even the presence of the wife of Vice President Dolapo Osinbajo and the Minister of Women Affairs Pauline Tallen could change the minds of majority of the legislators. The First Lady had witnessed the laying of the report of the Constitution Review Committee as part of advocacy for women-related bills.
Say aye. Those against me say nay.
First to suffer a setback is the bill seeking additional seats for women at state and national assemblies. In the House, 81 members voted in its support, while 208 kicked against the bill. It was the same pattern at the Senate. Another clause seeking to expand the scope of citizenship and extend it to a non-Nigerian married to a Nigerian woman also failed.
Colleagues, the next provision is a bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for special seats for women in the National and State Houses of Assembly.
195 lawmakers voted against it, while 107 legislators voted in its support. States may have had the last laugh as a bill to include value-added tax on the exclusive list was overwhelmingly rejected.
Whatever amendment you vote for will be recorded that you voted this way or that.
Despite desperate efforts by the Speaker and other gender-friendly legislators, the bill, which seeks a minimum of 20% for women in ministerial or commissioner nominees, got a support of 226 votes as against the required 240 benchmark. Though Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila opted for a voice vote and ruled in favor of the passage of the bill, it was rejected at the Senate.
To propose that the percentage proposed in the provision in the clause which was to guarantee that women have a minimum of 35% at all levels of party administration should be changed to 15%.
With the love we have for our women, that they should not go empty-handed. Honorable colleagues, let's give them the 15% at least for a start.
Diaspora voting also failed to fly, as majority of the lawmakers voted against it.
Well, on Wednesday, a bill seeking to amend the 2022 Appropriation Act scaled second reading in the Senate. The bill sought to amend the 2022 budget by making a provision in the sum of 106.16 billion naira for capital expenditures and 43.87 billion naira for recurrent without increasing the budget deficit.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in a letter addressed to the National Assembly on the 10th of February 2022, disclosed the need to remove all capital projects that were replicated in the 2022 Appropriation Act. He disclosed that 139 out of the 254 projects in the budget, totaling 13.24 billion, had been identified for deletion. The president also requested that an additional provision for the 2.557 trillion naira be appropriated by the National Assembly to fund the petrol subsidy in the 2022 budget framework, which was revised to fully provide for PMS subsidy.
Funding.
In the lead debate on the general principles of the 2022 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill, the Senate leader reels out key highlights for the amendment. The amendment includes 11 areas such as funding to cushion the impact of the recent suspension of the PMS subsidy removal.
Given the urgency of this amendment, I urge my colleagues to support this bill for the second reading. This is to enable the Committee on Appropriation to carefully consider and address the issues raised by the executive arm of government.
Other lawmakers who also made their contributions, identifying other disturbing factors.
Tax expenditure are waivers that are given to individuals or companies. Mr. President, if we look at the tax expenditure in 2022, is about 1 trillion.
A bill.
The president of the Senate also advised the executive to begin work on an amendment of the Petroleum Industry Act to be sent to the National Assembly to extend the subsidy regime and reflect current realities.
And this is also an opportunity for me to speak to the issue of the executive sending request for the amendment of the Petroleum Industry Act to extend the provision of fuel subsidy, which is also requested in the amendment.
The bill scaled through second reading and was referred to the Committee on Appropriations for further legislative work and has just 1 week to return to the chamber with its report.
The Inspector General of Police on Thursday, Inspector General of Police USMAN ALKALI on Thursday met with senior police officers to review security and discuss new crime-fighting strategies. The Inspector General of Police also charged the officers to prepare for challenges in the run-up to the general elections in 2023.
A meeting of the Inspector General of Police and senior police officers. The meeting is meant to take stock of security challenges and develop new policing strategies. The Inspector General of Police begins with a record of achievements.
Between January 2022 till date, collected crime statistics reveal that 36 terror elements, 78 murder suspects, 110 armed robbery suspects, 50 kidnappers and 150 cultists were arrested during various police operations across the country.
But he is concerned with infractions by police operatives mounting roadblocks.
As for police misbehavior on operations, be it stop and search or roadblock, well, this has been an issue that over time we've been fighting. Over time, we've been supervising to discourage its happening, and Sometimes we succeed in reducing it to its barest minimum.
For the first time, the police chief reacts to a report by the Auditor General indicating missing armaments from the police armory.
We have subjected our armories for scrutiny to both internal and external auditors, and we have not been given that report officially that such large quantity of arms are missing in our armory. But like you said, after we had also seen the report in the media, we tasked our armament officer to find out the truth about it.
As the general elections draw closer, the police chief says the force is bracing up for challenges.
Well, on Friday, the evacuation of Nigerians following the attack by Russia on Ukraine continued. And hours after 145 Nigerian evacuees returned home from Romania, a second batch of 180 from Poland touched down in Abuja at 6:35 p.m. And among the 183 returnees, 180 were adults, 4 infants. Well, more than 5,000 Nigerians, majority of whom were students studying in Ukraine, had been caught up in the conflict, and many of them had reportedly fled to neighboring countries, including Hungary, Poland, and Romania.
The crew had duty hours that they can't go beyond. And so if they had waited 6 or 5 hours, it adds up to the hour they should have been flying. And of course, they would take the 8 hours that you are ought to fly, 1 hour that you ought to go and take fuel. This flight, we had 180 adults, 3 infants. There are Nigerians that are left behind because they did not come yesterday. You know, maybe they, some of them hesitation. They thought the flight was not going to come. And so by the time their colleagues were telling them that they were already on their way, the reality dawned on them. And also we appeal through the media that parents should tell their children to come, because that's the best way. Poland gave them 15 days grace because then they didn't have a visa to Poland, but they allowed them. And at the same time, we must not abuse that.
Well, away from the Russia-Ukraine crisis, Nigeria dropped 2 places to become 6th in the latest Global Terrorism Index. And this latest ranking by the GTI showed that there is a decline in terrorism-related deaths in the country. According to the report, this improvement is attributed to the continuous success recorded in the federal government's fight against Boko Haram insurgents. The Global Terrorism Index, which is published by an independent organization, the Institute for Economics and Peace, shows that Nigeria, Syria, and Somalia are the only nations among the 10 most affected by terrorism to get an improved score from 2020 to 2021. The report puts the total deaths from terrorism in Nigeria to 448 in 2021, the lowest since 2011, although it noted that the number of terrorist attacks increased by 49% between 2020 and 2021.